Alright. Hopefully I solved the robot voice thing. Hopefully. And, yeah. Because I think I figured it out. I kept accidentally turning on the 48 volt on my little mixer here when I 100% didn't have to. I think it was causing some weird feedback occasionally. We'll find out, though. It might still be my headphones occasionally touching the wireless box. Basic full screen. There we go. So dude, I've got so much gray. I was really hoping to start painting this week. I don't know if we're going to, because we have so much we need to do. We have to build these guys, which I snagged during my game on Friday. I also ordered the 3rd box of them, so I'll have all my cultists. Which is pretty legit, if I do say so myself. We got more magnets coming. I pulled the trigger on 2 extra venom crawlers. Well, not extra, but 2 new venom crawlers, I guess, is how we'll put that. As well as another rhino. And yeah, I still haven't gotten the Vashtor, so I got a refund. And then found out that the group that I purchased the Vashtor from kind of vanished. So I used the refund on some paint we're going to need, as well as a couple other things. And then I just went and purchased Vashtor from Warpfire Minis. It was slightly more expensive than what I originally purchased them for, but, you know, it's Warpfire, which means they'll most likely actually ship it to me, and it'll get here, and I'll be fine. Which is a little different. Slightly different experience than what we've had so far. I think we might try to glue different magnets into this. Because these are the magnets for the knights. I'm going to try these different magnets. I love Vashtor's list, though. I didn't get to use it properly because I didn't have nearly any of the units that I'm supposed to. It's such a weird list to play, though, because it's so much more, like, on-field units than I'm used to. Because Tzeentch frickin' Thousand Suns is almost exclusively about having as many characters as humanly possible on the field, and a single character costs, in points, almost as much as a squad. So for every squad led by a character you have 2 characters on the field, basically, or 2 squads. And then, of course, you max out with Magnus and everything, and it gets miserable. It gets so miserable, man. But I like where it's going. I just hate my dice. And I'm starting to believe the hype, or rumor, I guess, behind GW dice just being very poorly balanced. I'm starting to believe it. Because again, so full situation. Full what played out on field. I enhanced my Forge Fiend with a Warpsmith, so +1 to hit. You know, it's good. It's useful. My opponent Swarm of Flies to the unit I was shooting at, so -1 to hit. You know, flat back to 3, which is great. It's not the worst, but it is what it is. Fine. I then Vashtor packed with the enhancement because the Warpsmith nearby had the bonus that gives full rerolls to anyone that packs near it, which is Fantastic. You basically surround that guy with 3 vehicles and just go ham. What's up, Long Furby? I rolled all the D3s into the squad. I was shooting at a squad specifically that was coming from the one side of a Death Guard. It's a full-size squad, I think, like 10 plus 2 characters or something like that. And plasma cannons, you think that's fine. So every plasma cannon got +2. And then I rolled to initially get like, I think it was 3, 4, 5, 6 extra attacks on top of the 6 I already had from the blast. So 12 total attacks into 12 people. Full rerolls with Vashdor Pact active. Providing me +1 to wound. As well as, because a Hellbrute was nearby, sustained and lethal. And I was like, this is it. This is me wiping a squad. Because full rerolls, all the 6 bonuses of, you know, lethal, and then dice come back, and blah, blah, blah. And AP3 is going to wreck them. It's great. It's fantastic. This is going to be hilarious. So I rolled, initially. I didn't get any 6s on 12 dice. So no lethals, no sustains. And I missed half the dice on 3 up to hit. And I was looking at it, and I was like, this is hot garbage. I'm just gonna fish and full reroll. And my opponent was like, oh, hell yeah. If I saw that, full reroll. 100% of the time. And I was like, yeah, man. That's what I'm doing here. Full rerolled, hit once. Out of 12 dice, I only rolled 1. That was a 3. And everything else was a 2 and a 1. You hate to see it. And then I rolled the wound. Strength 10, which is already, like, I shouldn't have Ash Packed this, and I'm starting to figure that out. I just have to ask for toughness values. So 2's to wound. Like, I just do it passively at that point. Too much admin. 2's to wound. 1 dice. Full rerolls. Didn't get the wound. He didn't even have to make his armor save. That's with GW dice. I've never seen so many 1s. So, that battle shocked the hell out of me. And I came home and I purchased 4 boxes of Chess X blue gold dice. Because I hear bad things about Chess X, but, like, dear God, it cannot be worse than what I witnessed. Like, I've genuinely never been more pissed in my life. I think we're actually going to glue these guys together with a couple of the other guns, like the other enhancements. Because I'm going to have 3 boxes of these, and if I ever play Necromunda, I'll have a pretty good pool of gangers to choose from. Although I think there's a upgrade sprue box for these guys to get different weapons, which is probably useful. What am I doing? I need 22, 21. But yeah, I like the list. I do really enjoy the list. I enjoy its prospects. I enjoy its concepts. I just need to get better at not being reactionary. I need to get better at following my own direction. It's not even price, dude. If you have been seeing how I've been rolling these past, like, 4 games with these dice, that's what would stop me from buying GW dice. Like, if out of the past 4 games I've played, I rolled average, I'd be like, oh no, dude, GW dice is great for the price. That's if I rolled average. I haven't been rolling average at all. I can't make, like, 4-up feel no pains or invulns. I can't make 3+ saves. I can't make, like... Dude, it's insane. Every opponent I've had has looked at what I've done on the field and been like, dude, what's happening? Are your dice weighted in the problematic direction? What's happening here? People have never seen another human being roll so poorly as I have when I roll with GW dice. I did the book model. Are you talking about? You said model. Yeah, you said model. The book model looks great. I linked it to my buddy because he plays Sisters. Apparently it's going to come with stats, so technically it's like a new hero, or do you think it's going to be a Legends hero? Kind of like the Red Gobbo. I didn't read the article, to be clear. I just don't know. No, yeah, the new model looks great. I'm hoping they drop a Genestealer Cult book as well with a specialized Genestealer Cult character. You know, so we can get 2 characters instead of just 1. Because that's what Genestealer Cult needs, is more characters. Airbrushes are Omega tier, easy to take apart. Yours, all airbrushes are slightly different though, but the main thing you need to know with an airbrush is, you know, classic nozzle. You can remove this usually with a, they usually give you a wrench that lets you apply it. If you're gonna re-tighten this, do not over torque the tighten. Just push your finger against it until you get a little bit of pushback and then stop. Do not over torque it. After you pull that off, it's pretty much you have a tube that you can get. They give you these brushes for, or you can get like a dental cleaner. You can just run it from up here through the tube or in reverse. Outside of that, I mean, these are very easy to take apart. There's a lot of really good videos that show you how to take it apart. I actually want to get a bucket filled with distilled water, and I'm going to try to wash this at some point. They're so easy, man. They're a lot easier than you think. They're not that big of a deal to take apart and interact with. And it's good that you have a cheap one, because if the cheap one feels like it's going wrong, you're not going to feel as out of it as if you dropped like $300 on a Badger airbrush, which I do want to get a Badger airbrush. Now that I've had a lot of experience with the cheaper airbrush models, I feel like I could move up to an expensive one with enough knowledge to keep it clean and react properly when things start going weird. Detachments, though, for Thousand Suns. So we have the magic detachment. That's cool. We definitely need a Zangor detachment. Because we had... What did we have? We had a Army of Renown that was Zangor focused, which I thought was really cool. The thing is, if you look at the detachment rules, are there any detachments that negatively impact other units in your army and then positively impact some? I could see them doing that for at least a few people. But like almost everything I've looked at, it just gives a benefit to something from your army and then calls it a day, right? They never really negatively impact things. But the Zangor detachment, the Army of Renown from before, made it so that your invulnerables were gone, I think, on your regular units, and then the Feel No Pains on Zangors and the invulnerables improved, I want to say. Oh yeah, dude. As long as the compressor like is good, that compressor will be universal. If it can hit certain PSIs, you're fine. You never need to buy like a better compressor. Just keep it clean. Usually there's a tank on your compressors. Flip it over. You might see a little screw to pull out, like a little corkscrew, like one of these. Every time you use it, when you're done and you've drained it or whatever you need to do, pull this. And then put a tray underneath it. That way any condensation that built up inside the tank goes into the tray so it doesn't rust your tank out from the inside. Solid advice. Not all of them though. You might have just a non-tanked one. I think even like the constant compressors have a tank though, just to get some initial pressure in. You might still have to drain that. But yeah, they needed the Zangor detachment like before, where you would have a spell or an ability so that during the game you could target a bunch of Zangor squads that lost units and return like D6 units to the squad. Like, it was the ultimate Tzeentch Horde army. It was hilarious. Well, the moisture trap built into the... You're talking about the one that's built between the pipe and the tank, right? I have that too. But I have a tray underneath the tank that I pull the cork on, and like the tray has water in it. Because it catches the moisture before it goes through the tube, but the moisture already exists inside the tank just because that's the nature of air pressure. It's pulling air into it, which has moisture in it. And then when you're done, the moisture, if it doesn't go into the little trap in the pipe, it will go into your tank. So you got to kind of be a little careful with it. Just a little. Just a little bit. A little bit careful. Don't got to be super careful. A little bit careful. But it's good. Airbrushing is good. I can't wait to get to airbrushing this. The problem is I literally just dropped like $400 on a ton of models that are on their way. I gotta get Venom Crawlers for this army. Venom Crawlers are huge. 12-inch movement. They basically have 2 autocannons. Yeah, I need Venom Crawlers. Venom Crawlers are going to be so nice. Just so good. I'm going to get 2 of them, which means I'm also going to have a ton of Obliterators that I'm not going to use because Sag. Obliterators are just a really sad concept at this point. I miss old Obliterators. I get why they reduced them. Obliterators were too adaptable back in the day. Like, way too adaptable. 80 orcs. Nice. You going, Green Tide? I hear Green Tide's really good. I think my Vash list could handle Green Tide. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, but Gobos are fun, man. Gobos are the way to go. 25 and then 47. So I know these are meant for the lead. Where's 47? Or 25? There it is. Cool. So for this other guy that's supposed to be a regular ass dude, he gets the 25 as well. I just got to get better at not reacting. I don't think I've ever had a charge on my end with a character that I want to charge with. That's real talk, boys. Like, no joke, the game I tested, I had a Mauler Fiend. I had 2 Mauler Fiends. And I didn't get to charge with either of them. I actually didn't get to roll with either of them. Because for those who don't know, Death Guard Plague Marines are ridiculous in melee. Just to be clear. They're ridiculous in melee. Like, they're genuinely horrifyingly good in melee. He built them for melee, and he put them in rhinos, and then just wrecked my face with that. Like, you cannot get into melee with those and think you're gonna live. They're just too good. I think we'll split up these weapons again. All right, let's pick a head and a flag. So yeah, we'll have one more of these. I decided against going a Predator. I think Predator could be good if you're building around the Predator, but Vashdor list is super choked for command points. So if you're going to take something to turn into a demon, it needs to be specific and for a very specific reason. Like, you genuinely cannot just casually go into just being like, oh yeah. I have so many regular tanks, I'm just going to turn them all into demons. It's just an absolute waste. Going demon on a tank is an emergency situation. Also, I've pulled the Thousand Suns out. I think the Thousand Suns are cool to put into these armies, but I think you want to put them in an army that's a little more horrifying. Like, the Assault Army would be okay. I honestly think Fellhammer would be hilarious with Thousand Suns in that army. Just rolling around in a Rhino with -1 to wound on ranged attacks. Just chilling. Just having a good time. I think that'd be great. But they didn't really mechanically help me out all that much. And honestly, if I'm looking to anti-infantry something down, Vashdor pacting a Venom Crawler feels so much more efficient and effective. Genuinely, it just feels really good to do that. freaking 12 attacks that are just all auto. Like, I don't even know why they just don't call them auto cannons. They're the same thing. They have the exact same stat lines as auto cannons. On a 12-inch moving mob, 36-inch range, 6 shots, 2 of them. They're just auto cannons. And he's not even bad at melee. His melee is 6 attacks. And I thought they nerfed him. I thought they made it so that he only gained the +1 to his attack in melee? Or, like, in the fighting phase. But I just double-checked it last night. I gotta double-check the card, maybe? I don't know. The phone app even says if you just kill someone, you have to kill the whole unit, and you get +1 to your attack profiles. Which means I'm gonna need to track... I'm gonna paint them differently, and then I'm gonna need to track when they go up. We'll have to create a tracking system for it so that I remember how many attacks they actually get. Because it's all their weapons. Even their main, like, 6-attack shooty weapon goes up to 7. You kill a unit turn 1 with that, you got 14 attacks ranged. And then you're just rolling around the field, 12-inch movement, just spraying people down with autocannons, not giving a single crap about anything. It's a horrifyingly little and powerful creature. Like, I didn't expect it. Although it isn't 100 mm base, which is ridiculous, I think. But it is what it is. Because they are not durable. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the kill, and then you're going to die. That's going to be the trade. I do think I want to lean into Vashtor, though, until the Thousand Sun Codex comes out. Which, yeah, I hope we get a Zangor detachment. We'll probably get... I want to say we should get at least 4 detachments. We might get 6, but I feel like 4. So we're going to get the magic detachment that's going to be basic. We're probably going to get a Zangor-focused detachment. I honestly think we need to get, like, a Terminator-style detachment. The issue is the overall faction rule is Cabal points. And the Cabal point list, that's pre-established. So it gets kind of weird if you think about it. So every detachment that exists is going to get the same thing. Armor strip, double move, all of it. The enhancements are going to change. So Lord of Forbidden Lore might not be on the other detachments. And Lord of Forbidden Lore is considered extremely powerful. So that's going to be a little weird, I think. Unless you have a Cabal point detachment that just allows you to take minimal characters. And it'll just drastically maximize the amount of Cabal points you get. Like, your Warlord gains a extra amount of Cabal points based on the turn that it is. So like turn 4, if you have a, let's say, an Exalted Sorcerer, it's straight up just 6. You get 6 Cabal points for your Exalted Sorcerer Warlord. So an enemy wants to chip away at you as the turns progress, because then you just have access to bigger and badder abilities, and then maybe there's just other things that team gets that's really nice. That could be kind of cool. Units-wise, though, I don't know, man. The only thing I lean into is the Osiren Dreadnought, personally. Give me an Osiren Dreadnought, I'll be happy. We have almost everything else. I feel like they're gonna ruin our Chaos spawn, just like they ruined the Chaos Space Marines Chaos spawn. Did you see that? That's a nerf no one's talking about. OC0? I don't even think they changed the points cost on that thing. What, 40k? We talking about 40k? You want to try to see if there's an easy way to play 40k? Combat Patrol is probably the easiest way to play 40k if you're looking to actually play 40k. A lot of people talk about one-page rules, which you can use the models for. Or you can use your Games Workshop models and just play one-page rules. And one-page rules are just that. It's a single page, and that gives you all the rules you need to be able to play a game. And that's if you're just looking to play a tabletop game, honestly. Like, if you're trying to, like, play in a pretty big scene, I don't know if one page is going to work. Unless you find out that there is a massive scene for one-page rules local to you. But Combat Patrol greatly limits the things you need to think about on the field. It limits your command ploys so that you don't have like all the command ploys to deal with. You can kind of just think of the few that you have and work from there. It makes it a little bit easier, a little bit more easy to ascertain what's going on the field. AOS there's a new version coming out, so we'll have to see, but supposedly Spearhead in AOS is going to be the same as Combat Patrol. But because they are approaching the game in a more modular fashion, there's like large amounts of stuff, at least from what I saw when they were announcing things. Like, Spearhead is supposedly just core rules. Like, there's all these different modules that come into play when you start playing, like, matched or things along those lines. So the more you push the game, the more response you'll get from, like, the different rules enhancements. Where's the other shoulder pad? There it is. So AOS seems like it's about to go in a really good way for understanding how to play, because they're also talking about normalizing units in terms of like hit rates, wound rates, stuff like that. So you'll easily be able to ascertain like, oh, that's cavalry. It should be hitting on 4s, wounding on 3s. Like they have a less chance to hit, higher chance to wound, just because they're super fast and they need to, you know, attempt to hit something as they're flying by. But then they hit so hard that the wound rate's up. That kind of thing. And that normalization might make a lot of people, I guess, feel better about how it's played. And from everything I think we've heard, a lot of the big issues people have with the game now are pretty reined in. Like, one of the bigger issues with AOS is if you know AOS, you're gonna easily be able to handle your opponent in ways that are just, like, obnoxious. I was at the local store and I was watching someone try to do a learning game. I was playing a game of 40k and literally on the table next to me, these two people show up and they're like, oh yeah, I'm learning AOS. This guy decided to teach me. He was like, yo, we'll do a learning game. It's cool. I was like, that's cool, man. And I think my 40k game was in turn 3, and we were doing turn 3. And in the time it took for us to do turn 3, the guy tabled him in a turn. Just wiped him out. And apparently that's, it's not uncommon. Like, there's armies in AOS that are just so fast and effective that if you don't play perfectly against them or have a perfect counter list to that, you're gonna die in a turn. And supposedly that's getting worked out a little bit. Because it sounds like they're trying to cut the lethality down. Kind of like what 40k did. Ask. So, because I can't say for your local store whether that's true or not. At my local store, anyone that pops in who's like, yo, I want to learn, we're more than happy to teach. Because the more people locally who are going to play this game, the more chance we have at, let me actually We'll just do it down. The more chance we have at, like, just having more players, right? And the thing is, the bigger the player pool, you never know, man. One of these people who comes in is like, I want to learn how to play. Maybe they're strategic geniuses. No, yeah, the current AOS is just mega lethal, and it feels like they're trying to rein it in because they want. It actually helps a lot to rein that type of stuff in because then when you have events and tournaments, people get to play longer. They don't get as aggravated when they die turn one. Like in 40K, I'm not playing well right now. I can 100% say I'm not playing well. I'm reacting to my opponents. I'm not following through on my own plans. Like, I'm making dumb plays. I am. I'm lasting till turn 5. And there's always little moments of hope that kind of pop up where it's like, oh, this is it. I could easily handle that squad and that squad, and I could possibly, you know, make this work and get the turnaround. That's how 40K is now. It's designed so that until the end of the game, there's hope. Potentially. I mean, you can get screwed, but it's not as easy as it was back when I was playing 5th edition when you could table a person in turn 2. Because the thing is, you tabled them turn 2. They had such little amount of lethality on the field turn 1 after you annihilate them that, like, they might as well just pack up and leave. That's how that game was back in 5th. And I hear that that persisted until, like, 6th and 7th and all that. So, kind of brutal. Yeah, I love these. I love using these guys as cultists. It looks so cool. It looks so perfect for what I'm trying to do. But yeah, that's literally what I was just watching back in the day, was just that guy getting stomped. And he was like, I'm trying to learn. And this guy brought like an Alpha Strike super amazing, I think it was Ogryn list. And just pooped on him. Turn 1, just pooped on him. And with how I was rolling, with my poor luck of rolling dice, when I played my buddy, when we were both trying to learn, every single time we played together, literally every single time, not even kidding about that, he would always double turn me. Turn 1 would happen, I would go first, and then he would go and position perfectly, and then we would roll initiative, and then he would go again and just wipe me out. Because he would move his cavalry up in a position where it's like, if I'm about to go, I'm going to hurt you. Like, that's the thing. He would move in a way where I was like, I could easily hurt you if I get this next initiative phase. And he's like, yeah. And then I roll, and I lose the initiative by like 1 to 5. And then it's just me sitting there like, well, I guess you can hurt me instead with your Luca Vi and all your different heroes for your freaking army that just do 1 billion damage when they get into melee. Here we go. So I'm looking forward to the new AOS. Yeah, it is. Okay, so some of my friends played, but a lot of them are usually busy at this time of year, so like I don't really have access all year round, which is why you guys aren't getting a lot of battle report videos and stuff. But the local store that I play at, they had a local Discord community. They talk a lot about rules. There's questions channels in there. People can kind of go back and forth about things. There's list building stuff. They talk always about the announcements and everything that's going on. It's great. And it took me like a week to at least get known enough at the store for them to be like, oh yeah, want to play a game? Like, I just go into the looking for game channel like a week in advance. I'll just be like, I'm looking to play a game on Saturday, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, almost immediately, I'll get people who are like, I'm in. Like, people at least local to me are very willing to play anyone. Like, they want to get games in, man. They want to practice. A lot of them are tournament driven. Turns out one of the people at the store, I don't know how many of you are familiar with BCP. BCP has its own internal ranking system for people in the US. It's like 15,000 people total who are on that ranking system. He's apparently in the 400 rating. Like, he didn't even know this. Someone just told him that he was in the 400 rating. Which, super good for his ego. Super good. And I've been playing him all the time. Like, I'm trying to learn, I'm seeing what he's doing, and I'm kind of getting it. The trick is beating into my brain what he's doing as a reality of something I need to think about when I play. That's like a very key thing that I need to start focusing on. What's up, Rax? Because, like, in the game I played with him, there was no reason for me to try to go stop him from burning the far side point. There was zero reason for me to stop him from doing that. That shouldn't have even been a thing I attempted. It was completely worthless. So 2-1. It split my power too much. It gave him a Mauler Fiend. Like, that was not good. I needed to keep that. I needed to let him burn the side. I think he might have misplayed the middle when he claimed he was burning that too, because I think you had to be an inch from the center of the objective, and I think he was just on the edge, which is not an inch. So that's fine. And then I misplayed my Helldrake. It's a whole thing. I shouldn't have even really had two Helldrakes, but, you know, I was still waiting on my Vashtor that never showed up. Sag. But now, after seeing a game, playing how Vashtor works, I think in my head I have a good enough understanding of the models I have access to, things I need to get, and things I need to focus on in order to properly play. Which is why we have two Venom crawlers. Another squad of cultists. As well as a Rhino coming. Vashtor is still a big thing. I still like the idea of how Vashtor is going to apply his abilities to my team, too. It's great. For the most part, he's not, like, overly impressive. It just depends on where you put him on the field. Because he increases the strength of all nearby vehicles, like all of their weapons, by 1. Which is incredibly useful when you play into, like, slightly tougher things than you would expect. Specifically, if you're playing against, like, let's say Tau, most of the biggest threats that Tau have are toughness 10. Now, the Vashtor list generally just has strength 10, like at the cap is usually what I go with, because I don't really bring a lot of las cannons or anything to the field. So toughness 10, strength 10, that's usually a flat 4 dice rolls if you're going to try to wound it. Here's the trick. Vashtor nearby makes it strength 11, which means you're wounding on 3s now. And then if you Vash Pact the vehicle that's about to fire into this toughness 10 vehicle, you take the +1 to wound. Now you're wounding it on 2s. If you had the Warpsmith buff, it's +1 to hit. And if you have that Warpsmith with the super enhanced ability, it's everything rerolls. It's so stupidly good. The name of the game is to just have a Hellbrute, 2 Forge Fiends, and the one, at least, one Warpsmith following that whole box around. Like, he's just sitting in the middle of it, so he can apply to all of them that packed in that area the reroll everything rule. It's too good. It is such a scary brick of attacking. Plasma cannons at damage, I think 3 AP3. Horrifying. The ability to turn on dev wounds as well. Dude, I shoot at a knight, dev wounds active all day long. Lethal, sustained, dev. I feel like most people who watch are usually on lunch break. Tends to just be me. But I'm always down for other people to be hobbying while I do this. So I'm thinking with these guys, so I have multiple cultists. I'm going to have 3 cultist squads, and if they ever get close to each other, I think we're going to have to do a color variation. So the things on their backs, basically the little capes on their backs, one squad's going to be blue, one squad's going to be purple, one squad's going to be burgundy. We're just going to go from there. That way we know. I need 3 and 5. We're going to build one with the spear lance thing. Because, I mean, they're cultists at the end of the day, so they'll have whatever they get weapon-wise. Nurgle cult. Nice. Nice. The other one will be absolutely different. When we're done building these, if we have time, I will start putting together the alternate knight weapons. Dull blades. I may one day learn how to play Necromunda. I do not know. My one buddy was watching me stream putting these guys together, and he was like, yo, when we playing? This is one of the key parts I hate putting together on these. There we go. Good. Good. Necromunda is a tough nut to crack, depending on your group. I know the local store had a small Necromunda group that was trying to get games in and, you know, just play. But it did feel like there were a lot of people who played Necromunda, like a lot in that group. And then there were some people who were like, we're new. And it just didn't play out the way I think any of them were hoping. Like, it sounded like new players were just getting shellacked the entire time. By people who understood, like, oh, I'm going to take these types of ammo. We're going to give this guy the knife. This guy is going to get the gun, though. Or... one of the new players kept losing his entire gang to his own damage, which was hilarious sounding. Like, they kept firing off grenades and then having the grenades blow up as they were getting shot. And he always packed in, like, 4 people near the grenade launcher guy, and then the grenade launcher would explode, kill all 4 of those people. He would roll on the injury chart, lose 3 of them to actual death. Dude, he was not having a good time. That is the oddity, though, of Necromunda. The whole approach. The whole concept. Of narrative play, where you just gotta go with it, man. Roll with the punches. You're telling a story of how bad your gang was. They were an idiot gang who didn't understand how to use any weapons. The Gene Stealer cult DNA in them was ruining their ability to ascertain good situations. Oh, dude, Necromunda has fantastic models. I'm glad I found these. These 100% work as Chaos Cultists. They look so much better. Just all the layers, the hanging fabric, the little details. I think, isn't Necromunda where Genestealer cults kind of like started, and then they just sort of expanded it into 40k using all the models? Because I feel like every Genestealer cult model I've ever put together has felt pretty much like what a Necromunda, like what all people complain about with Necromunda, is just the sheer volume of little parts you got to deal with, little things to put together, little details. Like when you put a 4-piece roll cage onto a single vehicle, you're just like, Jesus, I never want to do this again. This is the first and last time I will be doing this. And then you build 3 more because you have to. In theory, I do have Genestealer cult as like a 40k army. I could easily play them in Necromunda, but these guys are cool. They look cool because every time I look at them, I just hear the noise that those raiders made in Star Wars, because that's pretty much what these guys are. It's just that weird donkey noise of just Where is number 7? The arm. Did I ever try the slap chop method? After they called it slap chop? No. Before they called it slap chop, that was the only method I knew. Back in 5th edition. That's right. I said 5th edition. Me and my buddy played, and we were trying to find ways to quickly paint our models because we didn't want to, you know, have to hyper focus. We didn't want to have to, like, absolutely stare into and delve into trying to make models work. We just didn't want to have to do it. So I played Iron Warriors for a while, and one of the best ways you played Iron Warriors was pretty much priming black, getting bolt gun metal paint, and then dry brushing in a slap chop method onto the actual model. That's all it was. Normally what I do now is, because I have an airbrush, the slap chop is supposed to sort of counteract the need for an airbrush, really. But what you can do is you can apply it on top of airbrush things that you do, because then the airbrush feels smooth, the slap chop feels gritty. So you have that kind of dichotomy of like a really smooth OSL and then like a really gritty directional color type situation, which is kind of cool. What am I looking for? So we got the 2 guns, the backpack, the 1 gun, the backpack. I don't think I need anything else. I think these 2 are basically done. But I get it. So I mean, slap chop is a good approach at quickly trying to finish things. And if you can control kind of the volume of the light color you apply through slap chop, you can get some pretty good focus effects, is the key thing. Try not to hypersaturate your whole model. Make it brighter in the areas that you care about. Like if he has a plasma gun and it's pointing at something, you're like, oh yeah, that'll be bright. And then maybe make the face bright so that you have like that dual focal point of like, look at the cool gun. And then look at the guy's face looking you in the eyes as he melts you. That's kind of what people want, and it works. Slap chop achieves it fairly well. Did you see all the videos people started putting out, though, making fun of the fact that everyone was like, yo, Slapchop, check out this new method that's going to make all of you better painters. YouTube's kind of a bad place for learning how to do stuff because the average person doesn't want to actually learn the why of how to do something. Instead, they just want to see the process and then imitate the process and hope that it works for them. But learning the why of Slapchop will help you universally going forward, as opposed to just seeing the process and then imitating. No, yeah, the sponge method looks great. I like the sponge methods. I've seen the wet on wet blending. I've seen a lot of stuff that makes me go like, oh yeah, this will work. This is something people should think about and do if they can. But don't just assume that it's the only method or the only application you should apply to something. Because if you add other stuff to it on top of it, like I'll do airbrushed base painting, which if you understand how base painting works, you apply tones preemptively to things that you then apply paint over top of, and then the tones underneath of it work, which is apparently the new technique I've been seeing everywhere people talk about. It's I can't even remember the method, what it's called. You're supposed to basically paint a model white, apply really bright colors in different like locations all over it. You just pick really bright colors, apply them all over the model, and then you go get a layer paint, and then you apply layer paint kind of over specific parts that would be visible from like ambient top-down light, but then you leave the crevices to whatever the weird bright colors you've applied were, which makes the unit very interesting looking. So I did that to a ton of models, and then I saw a bunch of the YouTube hobbyists go, hey, this is the new big thing that everyone has to do. And it's like, this is weird that I'm seeing this. The sponge method's great for being quick, I think, yeah. There's method and goal can line up really well in this game, or in the hobby, and make for extremely quick and extremely beautiful outcomes, which I really like. Personally, like, I don't know if you've been following me for a while or checking out like the stuff I've been posting on social media or blah blah blah, whatever. You should see my Genestealer Cult system. I painted an entire Genestealer Cult army. After putting it together, I painted it in 2 hours. Whole 2,000 point army, 2 hours worth of painting, and it looks nice. So we'll get at least one of these guys. I think in the next squad, I'll also build another one. Let me roll my chair over here to my newly built display cases. I love them. I love them. Let me see if I can find a good representation of the technique and style. Yeah, you. It just uses stencil work, edge highlighting, and then picking some surfaces. And then it's a 2-stage zenithal. From an extremely dark teal to a mid-tier lighter teal blue to an extremely pale blue. From one direction specifically. That's why the teal is back here. So it's just a sort of like a moonlighting effect. And all the pinks and magentas are blacklight reactive for if you ever want to do it, kind of show them off that way. As well as any of the stencil work is blacklight reactive green. Yeah. Takes pretty much no time at all. And you can get full armies
painted and ready.
Seriously, it took me 2 hours to paint them all. It took me way longer to build them. Which is what I was aiming for. Genuinely what I wanted. I wanted to put it together and be done. Pretty much in an hour, and then just go play. Because Genestealer cults are going to be the biggest uphill battle for me to learn. If you haven't played them in 40k yet, holy crap. Genestealer cults are the most amount of admin you will ever have to perform in any army. Needing to know who's getting out of what, who's getting what rerolls, who has the sustained functions, who you're going to apply certain enhancements and buffs to, where you're going to put the -1 AP enhancements for the crossfire from your... Like, dude, the sheer quantity of rules interactions in GSC. I felt like every turn that I took lasted maybe like 20 minutes longer than it should. Just because I had to say it out loud. Because it's not just for me, right? Me saying out loud, like, who's getting the AP and all that, it's not just for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to apply AP, blah, blah, blah. If everyone knew all the little nuance of Genestealer cult, they wouldn't have to say it out loud. They would just do it. Place markers. But since not a lot of people locally, especially, play Genestealer cult, they're currently in a place locally where everything I'm saying out loud has to be said. Like, while I'm playing, so that my opponent can make good choices, hopefully. Because anytime you start applying gotcha mechanics like that to an extreme level, the person you're playing with, like, you don't want to be a bad sport, right? Like, you don't want to be the asshole who's like, haha, I tricked you. Like, that's not a great way to play anymore. That's not something people want to do in 40k. The whole, like, you activated my trap card that I didn't tell you about and was waiting for you to activate. Haha. The whole approach is to try to give your opponent as much knowledge of your army as they can have, or that you think is important, and then they do the same to you, and then you guys make good tactical decisions. Try to defeat each other. The whole point of the game now. Yep, building more cultists. The guy I played on Friday told me he had a box of these guys spare, so I bought them from him. And then I bought one more box yesterday off of Amazon. And now we wait. We have so much coming. Arturo, we have so much coming. I am not happy. But I'm happy and I'm not happy. Because for AOS, we need these guys painted. For the Vanguard box, we need them painted. When I get them painted, I also want to paint all the Screamers I bought. I also want to put another white primer coat and then paint the Fate Skimmer. Because there's a lot of gray showing on them. The white primer did not stick on the surface. It pulled to the edges, which happens occasionally. That's why I hate white primer. We also need to construct and prep all of the extra parts for my knights so we can prime them and paint them. We have so much to do, man. Oh, this is going to be the biggest painting session going forward, just doing all of this work. All right, so we got 8, 9. I test ran the Vashtor list. Not the good Vashtor list, but part of the Vashtor list. Yeah, I try to stick to ambient music. We've tried other playlists, but I don't like how they feel. I don't doubt that there's bigger piles that people have. The thing is, no, Vashtor, as far as I know, just vanished. The day before my, 2 days before I had my game scheduled, it was declared as massively delayed. It was just like, yo, it's not going to be there till like next month, man. Sorry. And I was like, all right, whatever. I just won't use Vashtor. And then that night, it went, yo, it's at your house. Which, very confusing. That suddenly it goes from, you know, can't find it, not going to make it, to, hey, it's there now. Go, go. And I was like, all right, that's weird. So I came here to pick it up because I was having it shipped here. And it wasn't here. So I waited. And I was like, all right, look, they said it would probably be here late. I'll just wait, see how it works. Waited till yesterday. It didn't come in. Oh, yeah, you've got frickin' Horde pile. Horde pile is always different than general pile. My pile is now 20 cultists. It will be 30 cultists. 2 rhinos. It's gonna have a Vashtor because I ordered from Warpfire Mini, so that'll be here in like a week. And then it'll also be 2 Venom Crawlers. I might build the Obliterators, but I have no plans on using them. I think the Obliterators at this point is almost... I think universally people think they're really bad. And I kind of agree. Looking at their stats, I kind of agree. The problem was that apparently their Meltaguns were really good. Like, their Meltaguns were long enough range that a 9-inch deep strike meant you would Melta something. And that's, like, the ideal, right? Just deep strike 2 guys down and just be like, haha, and then wipe something out. But you can't do that anymore. They don't let you land and Melta with the enhancement. Which is apparently massively destructive to how that unit works. But yeah, so I'll have 2 rhinos, 2 venoms, 30 cultists, Vashtor. What else do I have? I think that's it. And then my demons over here. That way the AOS stuff can be done, as well I can have some fun demon allies to pull from for my Thousand Suns. Cause yeah, I think I'm done trying to play specifics. I get how the army is gonna play, but I also don't fully understand how that army wins. Almost every time I've ever seen a Thousand Sun player win, they just sit for 4 turns and don't really do anything. Except shoot, like, with 1 or 2 units. I don't know. I don't get that. I kind of hate how that plays. It just doesn't feel good. Because I don't know how that wins in the current system. Like, I've gone against lists that are like, yo, we're cleanse. And, like, if you can't position, it's just over. So I don't know, I gotta figure it out. I gotta figure all that crap out. It just makes me nervous to not be doing things in 40k because I feel like I'm just getting completely ruined. And the thing is, no matter how often I sort of learn the lesson of the reverse, I never remember it. That's kind of an issue. Like I said, the last game I played, I had 2 Mauler Fiends. I never got to roll for them in Melee. They both died, like, instantly. I couldn't do anything with them. All I had to do was not move them to the places I moved them to, and they would have been fine. I was using Cultists to pocket out his, Cultists and Felgors, to pocket out his Deep Strikes. Another reason I really like the Helldrake is as long as the Helldrake sits on my backline, that's a massive area that you cannot Deep Strike in. He's such a huge model that he spreads out. Like, he himself is almost 9 inches as like a box. And then, like, it's 9 inches from that. Enjoy not Deep Striking in that area. You just put him at your backline. 20-inch movement when you need him. If not, you just leave him there. He's expensive to sit still, but he's not good enough at anything else to not sit still unless your opponent has something that he's designed to kill. If you can find the thing he's designed to kill, use him. If not, try to peek around corners and shoot frickin' autocannon shots from him, but that's it. Don't leave. Just leave him where he is. He's just better there. He'll protect your backline. You won't have to use your cultists back there. The new mission deck I'm interested in. It's why I have the 2 Rhinos and the 3 squads of cultists. Because you need battle line, supposedly. If I end up not needing battle line for scoring, I'm still going to use them. Because cultists sticky objectives, which is huge. It's so huge. Sticky an objective and then create a wall around it with big-ass tanks. 100% of the time I'll do that. So good. I can make rhinos go through walls with the Vashtor list. Oh, I gotta go to the other side of this wall to complete the TAC op mission? I'm in. Boom. We did it. I don't know. It's just a generally good thing, I think. I think this is going to be a fun list for me to play. It's so close to how I actually want to play. I just got to not fall for traps and just be better, I guess. Like, I shouldn't have gone for that side thing. I should have just reinforced myself onto the left side points and then burned my objective near the end of the game after he couldn't get to it. That would have been so much better. I could have just been like, all right, cool, you burn that. You have a Rhino and a whole squad of Plague Marines over there. Have fun. And then just leave that side with all my speed. All my 10-inch movement. Frickin' Mauler Fiends. Just get the hell out. Don't even pretend to care about that side, because if I can get my side on the opposite end and burn that one, and then hold mid and burn that eventually, or not, just hold it. Then really it just comes down to secondaries. Especially since he burnt early. He decided to burn early to try to pull me out. Which is kind of not the best. If it's like the one point you can easily hold and you just happen to burn it. I could have taken advantage of that. I really could have. Wouldn't have lost my Mauler. Would have sent it somewhere else. Ugh. Hindsight, man, 2020. It's a problem. I know it's a problem of how I approach 40k games. Because I'm not going to lie, when I started putting stuff on the table, my first thought out loud was, I'm going to focus on my own function. Right? I'm going to focus on the things I know I need to do. I'm not going to really care about where he puts his models, insofar as I'm going to expect that I need to hide and cover from his Land Raider, and that's about it. And I pretty much assumed where he was going to put his Land Raider. And yeah, he did it exactly how I thought he was going to put it. But then I placed things to try to spread out and control most of the board, whereas if I focused everything on the left side of the board for me, I would have wiped everything out that he had over there. I could have peeked a Forge Fiend around the inside, wiped out the Rhino he had early game, pulling the squad out of it. Could have ransacked it with like a bunch of Mauler Fiend stuff. Like, it would have been better. Would have just been so much better. Although they do have fights first. That's the biggest issue, probably, with his army. Is that the bulk of the things I would be going for are going to be hitting me first, which you do not want in Melee with that type of stuff. The reality is I needed to find a way to crack open the Rhino, which, with how I was rolling that day, wasn't going to happen. That's why I bought new dice, everyone. We bought a whole giant box of new dice because GW Dice appears to not have, like, 4 games in a row, didn't roll even. Oh, these guys? These guys are actually the same cost. If you're going to buy them flat, they're the same cost. But through third-party systems like Amazon and all that, people don't think anyone wants these. Like, for some reason, I guess no one really plays Ash Waste and Necromunda. Or maybe Necromunda doesn't sell that well for a lot of people. So you get the most dropped prices. Like, the first box I ordered of this was $45. Oh, dude, if it's actually flat cheaper than Cultists in Australia, that's also a thing. But Amazon pricing put it at 45 instead of the, I think, 50. And then the guy that I bought it from over the weekend, wherever he bought it from, it was 47. So I just paid him 47. But if you go through the Games Workshop store in the US, these are the same price as Cultists. I was super happy finding out that these were like a lot cheaper. And because Cultists are actually very key to Chaos now, they're starting to become hard to find. It's a little annoying. I think did I cut the hose off of this? Or is this the wrong one? I think this is the wrong one. Yeah, it's the wrong one. Because, yeah, Cultists are massively useful now in Chaos. They've done a good job, I think, Games Workshop, of trying to separate Chaos Space Marines from regular Space Marines by reinforcing the role of the fodder in Chaos. Because Thousand Suns, Zangor are very important. Death Guard, I've seen incredible things happen because of Poxwalkers. The role of fodder in Chaos is just so much better than Space Marines, in my opinion. So we're seeing some great list building because of it. Because none of the regular Chaos Space Marines get sticky objective. The fodder does. And then in the regular Space Marine army, the Space Marines get sticky objectives. Like, they want you to have to take super elites as Space Marines. Meanwhile, the mechanics of these guys are just so fun. This one goes on the next one. We'll just build the bodies for now, and then we'll just attach everything afterwards. 14, 13... Because that's the thing. Like, I kept building my Thousand Sons as super elites, which meant I couldn't lose anything, which means I couldn't maneuver with anything. It was horrible. Going all MSU and Magnus, I just couldn't move. Everyone was just out positioning me, and I just couldn't do anything on the field. It was just... I ended up just staring at people the whole game, like, alright, if I move forward, you're just going to rush me with that and kill me. I don't have a play here. I don't have a cushion to put around Magnus to prevent you from Deep Strike assaulting him. I'm just kind of screwed. And it sucked. And then I watched an entire tournament play of Thousand Sons where a guy had 3 Zangor squads, 3... What was it? 3 Chaos Spawn, a Demon Prince with wings, and like 2 giant squads of Rubrics, Magnus, an Exalted on a disc. Like, he had a much more my style of what I would have preferred army that I was thinking wasn't the right way to go. Because it sounded more and more like with what people were saying was like, oh, dude, you don't need to go that route. Go this route instead, and you'll just be way stronger and be able to burn more and blah, 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 blah. And it just never feels that way, in my opinion. You just kind of keep getting screwed over. Meanwhile, the games I played that were bulk Zangors and Chaos Spawn, like, I actually, by the end of it, would just feel great. Like, the whole game would have felt perfect. There was nothing that occurred that I couldn't handle. I feel like I'm missing the other tank. Or did I already pull it? No, I didn't pull it. But yeah, good list building now, I do feel like, is you want at least like a quarter of your army to be trade units and fodder. Things you're okay with losing, but if you don't lose them, they actually achieve good endgame goals. Positioning, able to burn stuff, cleanse things, you want that. If you don't have it, you're just going to be screwed. Like, the whole time. Because if you can't complete missions, you're not going to win the game. That's just how it be. Wait, where's the tank? Only one of them's here. did I already... No. Am I blind? Heads, arms, backpacks, guns, back guns, heads, arms. There's no way I'm missing a tank. Maybe the fumes are getting to me, man. Tamiya. Tamiya plus plastic. Oh, no, it's there. Fumes are getting to me. Excellent. Good to see you all in chat, though. You guys doing good? You guys see the new Sisters model? We were talking about it a little earlier. Looks pretty good. I like it a lot. I'm actually super excited. One of the people I watched a lot on Twitch picked up a commission to paint some NID models. I'm getting some rough spots, but I've been helping him a little bit with some suggestions, ideas, knowledge of different products and things he can lean into. He's done some good work in the past. Not for 40K things, though. I think he said this was his first time delving into the realm of 40K for commission pieces. He had a little bit of a hard time getting a Norn together, but he worked it out. He was very worried about how it ended up, because he was like, oh god, what do I do? And then, yeah, we sorted through it. It's kind of my favorite thing about the hobby. When you're scared at first, but then you start to realize that almost anything that goes wrong, there's ways to fix it. Brush on primers, different types of sealants, like there's just ways to fix it, man. It has the same feeling, the same emphasis to me as when I found out about white ink for illustration. Because for the longest time with illustration, I was always worried that I was going to, you know, put a line somewhere where I don't want it, and then I'd have to spend time covering it up and figuring all that out, and it was like, oh, this is going to suck. And then one day I watched a video where someone was like, let me show you how I do this ridiculous thing that everyone thinks is massively detailed. And then they pulled a container of just Liquitex white ink out, put it on a brush, and like flicked the brush to spray it in an area. And he was like, there you go. That's how I do the splatter marks and spackling marks in my my art that everyone has no idea how I do it. Because they're like, man, inking that circle and then going all over your shadow and choosing where you want those little dots has to be crazy and take forever. And he's like, wow, done. And seeing that was like, my brain just flipped a switch and was like, dude, why am I making more work for myself? Because that's how I did it. No, yeah, I hear it was the thing that got him were the smokestacks. The little spore stacks on its back. He put them together and he thought they were fine. And then he was looking at it after priming it and realized that there was a gap between the top of the stack and the rest of the model. And he was like, I have no idea what to do. So I talked him into filling the gap with, I think it was some putty. Some like modeling putty type stuff. Sanding it and then just putting another hit of primer on it. Welcome to the future, Arturo. I can't wait to see how he paints them. I think I gave him enough info to achieve his goal well. I want to see kind of his response. He's the kind of person who like puts his own work down. Like I do that occasionally too, so I get it. But he does good stuff. I think the problem is we always compare ourselves to things we see, and we always see like ridiculousness. It's probably one of the biggest issues of the internet for confidence. You go on the internet and you see people's work and you're just like, I'll never be that good. Here's the issue. You're seeing, like, a finished piece, right? Like, that's just, it's fine. You're not seeing the 3,000 attempts at making a finished piece that didn't end well. That's what you're not seeing. You don't see the sketchbooks, you don't see the tester models, you don't see any of that. You just see the finished piece. You don't see the 400 models they attempted the same effect on prior that looked okay but wasn't up to their standard. It's miserable when you see that type of stuff, because then you assume all of their work is like that, which is, I mean, it's good if you're trying to, you know, sell your work. I did not clip out the front of this guy's armor. It was number 13. Or did I? Oh, there it is. Like, I've seen some of the stuff he's done. He's done good work. He has the tools. He has at least most of the knowledge of how to use them. He's already ahead of many. Bad feeling about this foot positioning. My room smells more and more like Tamiya as we work, which means the Tamiya, the chemical is permeating, which always feels like it slows down drying processes. I don't think it's raining outside. I might want to just open my window. Clear some of this nonsense out. So I went way over my mini budget. Because I have a mini budget every month that I'm trying to maintain so that I don't overspend. I went way over it to try to finish out this Vashtor list. Is brutal, dude. I think the third hit or the second. I think it's the second. Yeah. Second of the month. And I was straight up just like, let me buy all the stuff I need for Vashtor's list. $400 later. God damn it, dude. The Necromunda box in the US, if you buy from Games Workshop, let me just open this window real quick. Ugh. What the hell? Weird. Whatever. Let's leave it open. The Necromunda box through Games Workshop, exact same price. Through Amazon, $5 cheaper. $5 cheaper. Yeah, we got one more body to do. Which one was this? This was 19 or 18? 18, 19. What's this one? Yeah, it was a lot of money. But I am at that point of just like, we're almost done. We're almost done this list. AOS is coming. I've already got a ton of AOS stuff pre-made. I'll be able to set down the hobby stuff, focus back in on strategy and battle report-y stuff. It'll be good. We'll work on it. So these two, and the pack is 20, and then there's nothing else. Yes, that's right, because near the end of making models, they always peter out on the details. They're always just like, screw it. 3 parts, and you're done. My favorite thing. My absolute favorite thing about when you get to the end of your building session. Always the model that's just like, it could be 6 pieces. They decided to only make it 3. No, yeah. And then next month's budget is on an actual... It's on the large carry case. I've been eyeballing the large carry case for some time now, so that I stop having to bring like all these massive containers with me. There's a company that looks like it's selling... I have one large carry case, but it's not built well. I might actually throw it out. It doesn't feel good. Putting the trays into it, it's really hard to put trays in. It's just super obnoxious to put together. I don't like it. Whereas this other one feels built perfectly to carry things properly. And they have a version of it that's sort of a double wide, deep, very tall. Like Magnus fits into it easily with like a little bit of extra room. So one side can be Magnus with maybe a couple things around him, and then the other side is everything else in the army. All the vehicles, all the side stuff. Or I can pack Vashtor's list, which is bulk vehicles across multiple tiers of the different magnetic sheeting. It'll be good. But that's next month. That's my next month purchase. Can't purchase it this month. Way too many models purchased this month. We are overdosed on that. I need to figure out a decent enough way to record battle reports that are maybe a little bit more basic, a little bit more about just kind of giving overviews of things. I don't know. I really prefer controlled situation, like sound studio battle reports. That way you have full information of dice rolls and everything. It's just, it's impossible to do an in-the-field battle report at the places that I go to with as much of the equipment as I have. I still kind of want to do it, man. Like, I think I need to get, like, a cell phone quick charge battery that has, like, good battery life on it, like tons of extra battery life. That way I can basically just be consistently recording while playing almost every action, and then just have 2 hours of footage on my phone, which is the other issue. I really don't want to do it on my phone. Which makes me wonder if maybe there's like a massive battery backup type situation I can use for my camera, like an external battery that lasts like 6 hours. Wait, what were you buying the trolls for? The 3D print trolls? There are a ton of good models out there. I got a 3D printed statue. The thing was, for the longest time, I kind of knew what 3D printing looked like. I assumed it would get better. I wasn't the kind of person who saw an early 3D print model and was like, this is never going to take off. I saw it and went, this isn't something I care about now, but in, I don't know, 3 years, it's probably going to be impressive. And it is, because I've recently ordered 3D print models. Like, for instance, these are 3D printed. And I look at them and I'm like, yep, these are actually really good. They did a good job. Mission accomplished. I would like to see War Machine take back off again, though. I feel like everyone's so hurt about what happened with War Machine that I don't know if they're going to recover. But as a company, they've been putting out really cool looking concept art for their models. And I kind of love that War Machine and Privateer Press as a company has sort of leaned into the potential of like pointing to makers and owners of like small businesses that 3D print stuff as a more efficient and effective way of getting orders. But I mean, I am a little worried that there might be some like underlying negative effects to that. Because if the orders aren't coming in and then that group decides, oh, we're going to start printing this stuff instead and we'll just work on that. And then all of a sudden they just get inundated with orders from the War Machine side and they're just kind of screwed because all of their 3D printers are in use just making things for a while. So what happened was early War Machine, people loved it. I actually played early War Machine. I enjoyed it. It was really fun. All right, we need to get guns and stuff. And heads. I enjoyed it. I loved the concept of it. I think it's why I actually really like Kill Team, is because it was a similar function for me of skirmish, which was really cool. But as time went on, they released a rule set that people were like okay with, but then one of the big things they did for their tournament, like their international or whatever tournament that they held, they basically said out loud, hey, whoever wins this is going to help us write the rules for the next game, like the next iteration of the rulebook. That was a big mistake because they basically gave the rights of the game to the Sweat Lords. And the Sweat Lords made rules that worked only if you were a Sweat Lord. And it pissed so many people off. So a lot of people were like hemorrhaging out of the system at that point. Let's get all the visual aesthetic components together real quick. Heads, backpack components, and then we'll do guns. So that kind of like ruined it for a lot of people. And I think they used to try to print in a similar fashion to how Games Workshop did it, because they were people from Games Workshop. Like, they knew the systems, which is what gave them kind of an edge over new companies. They knew how to get the printing done. They knew how to, you know, market it, box it, sell it, all that stuff. Get it to storefronts. They followed a lot of the same rules that Games Workshop did to try to get it in storefronts and keep it in like the biggest area of the storefront. You know, marketing, good stuff. But then people stopped buying it because the game started to feel like it was falling apart. Companies stopped carrying the game. It just went south. Then they decided to kind of launch the next iteration, which was supposed to fix a lot of the problems from the prior. They decided to kind of not do the whole Sweatlord approach. But they didn't have their own printing company anymore. They wanted to try to take advantage of a more print-to-order system. And supposedly when they went to a convention to show off their new methodology for kind of maintaining and running the game. Music done? I think music is done. What time is it? 1:41. Music shouldn't... Oh no, it's not done. Yeah, they decided to come back, so they showed off their new models. And their new models was in their new system of printing, which involved 3D printers. And they weren't all the best quality, because I guess they arrived. They were like behind schedule on getting the models in. So some of them arrived. There were people who complained that some of them weren't cured resin, so they actually like burned when you touched them. It was not great. But yeah, my local store that used to carry them all the time, they had them right up front of the store, right next to the Games Workshop section. They don't carry them anymore. They carry MechWarrior. MechWarrior doesn't have a large area either, but they carry it. There's apparently a crew there that loves playing Alpha Strike and MechWarrior. But yeah, as far as I can tell locally, Warmachine's pretty much forgotten. The one store that I went to for the 40K 4v4 tournament didn't have any Warmachine stuff in it. The store I went to for the 3v3 did, but it was like a section of their store that was literally like 50% off, must get out of store kind of situation. They didn't want it anymore. I think they were planning on either selling it on eBay for 50% off or throwing it out. I feel like they mostly wanted people to buy it for like bits and parts to apply to bases and stuff. Because that'd be kind of rough if on a base of like a Chaos Knight, you just filled it with a bunch of War Machine parts. I'm really hoping I'm not going to have to buy much new stuff for Genestealer cults when that codex comes out. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have to buy too many new things for Thousand Suns, because I'm basically done Thousand Suns. If they drop in a Siren Dreadnought and it's a character, I might buy one. For the most part, I don't... Unless... Like, what would they do? I think they might maybe re-release the Terminators. At which point, no. I already own, like, 30 Terminators. I'm not gonna buy any more Terminators. It's not happening. Because I feel like this time around, Games Workshop is all about showing people the better-looking Terminators and being like, you want these, right? You want these? No, thank you. I already purchased way too many Terminators. I don't even plan on using 30 of them. Although I do think a full Zangor army with 3 full squad Terminators. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 full-size Terminator squads, 1 led by a Terminator Sorcerer Lord. Would be hilarious. Honestly, all of them, if possible, led by a Terminator Sorcerer Lord. I think other kill team channels like Can You Roll a Crit, Mountainside, and even Glass Half Dead, they got access to it early. I did not. We are not big enough. Granted, I also have not been posting tons of videos in the past month. I need to get on that, man. We got a How to Kill Team video in the pipe. It's already recorded audio-wise. I just got to get the B-roll together. But a bunch of channels got it early. I think the pre-order is supposed to be going live or something, right? But a lot of people got it early to show off. So all the rules should be up. Can You Roll a Crit, I think, dropped the rules on his channel. Mountainside and Glass Half Dead, I think, did a series together where they talked about it. And then Mountainside did their own, I want to say, release. Thankfully, I think we're going to have time to work on my Knight components, which I've been needing to work on. When we paint all this, I don't want to not have my Chaos Knights active for it. Because I do think there's value. I think if I stop playing to like the weird gimmicks and I start playing to the stats, I think my Knights will be okay. Full Carnivores, Brigands, Despoiler with most likely dual battle cannons or Gatling battle cannons. Still not sure. Jury's out on the statistics. And a Knight Tyrant sitting at the back, being a Knight Tyrant with a Cursed Panoply on. I think it could work. Because it doesn't play very different to the lists I've been seeing come out of like Thousand Sun Elite lists and stuff. You're not supposed to go. I'm supposed to hammer down my opponent's ability to capture points and do things. and then just chip into their bigger segments of their armies. And I think the goal for me is to approach it where I sort of put my Despoiler in reserve. That way he can find an angle in turn 2 where he just walks in off the edge of the board and either fires into someone with 36 shots or fires into them with 4d6 plus 3 blast shots. I think they're all blast, right? Is the 36 shots blast? Or is it just the 4d6 plus 3 shots? Despoiler. Only the 4d6 plus 3, which is 3, 6, 9, 12. So 4d6 plus 12. 72-inch range, 36 for rapid fire, 3 plus to hit. Honestly, I do think I lean into Despoiler battle cannons. Even though it's only AP 1, it's still damage 3, strength 10. It's better at killing tanks. I think I just go regular battle cannon with it. Because it has blast. Super useful against hordes. It's why I bought all the dice that I recently bought. Like I said, my Games Workshop dice, I couldn't seem to roll above a 2 for like 2 tournaments and 6 games that I played outside of tournaments. Since then, I have basically bulk purchased Chessex dice, blue gold. So I'll hopefully have enough dice to roll during games. I have test rolled, which hopefully, you know, the idea of like superstitious belief in luck and all that. Hopefully I'm not wearing the luck down on these dice. But in all of my test rolls yesterday, to make sure that like the dice aren't going to roll like shit just out of nowhere, and that they hopefully do roll averages at least consistently in a smaller scope of rolls, they seem to roll well. Like they decently roll. I don't roll 40 dice and never see a 6 over the course of 40 dice, which is what's been happening with the Games Workshop dice that I have, making me assume that they are weighted in the negative. Like, there's got to be something to that, right? Games Workshop dice, when you look at them, I feel like the ones on the dice, the skulls, are these massively elaborate, chipped away at sides. And then the 6s are like 6 tiny little dots, making me feel like the 6 is heavier than the 1, so that you'll most likely see more 1s than 6s, and it just, it makes me feel terrible when I roll it, and I start seeing nothing but 1s. I think I have to use the other backpack component. Yeah, they force you to use every backpack component. Even though this one feels like it should only be for the leader. It just feels bad, man. It feels so bad. Bothers me. We sat around the whole time while we were playing, and my opponent on Friday was watching me roll god awful. That's what I did though, and it feels better. It feels better because, like, like I said, right? I wrote this in Discord. In one round, I rolled 26 total dice, right? 26 total dice. It's a quarter of what's needed. And I couldn't roll above a 2. Like, I rolled the initial roll, and I had like 3 hits out of the initial 13 dice. And they were like hitting on 3s. I was like, alright, well, I'm just going to reroll everything because I need lethals and sustains. So I want to roll the maximum amount of dice. There's no way I'm going to do worse than 3. So I re-rolled it, and I only hit once. Which means all the other dice were 2s and 1s. Then I rolled that 1 dice as a 2. Or no, I rolled it as a 1. On a plasma cannon shot into a squad of Death Guard. And I was like, that sucks. Well, at least I have the re-roll from this benefit. I rolled it again, I rolled another 1. And then from that point forward, in an entire game, I think I rolled a total of 100 dice. And I feel like maybe 14 of them were higher than a 4. Like, it's not good. And then I came home and I got the 1 box of this Chessex dice, and I was like, all right, let me start rolling it to see if it at least feels like over 100 dice I see things higher than a 1 through a 3. And yeah, I do. Almost any time I roll like a chunk of 6, I see at least 1 6. Like, it just feels average. And then it has spikes of way above average, and then usually like 1 off below averages. And I'm like, alright, that's fine. As long as it's not an entire game of rolling below average, I'm fine. All I need is the one possibly good thing. Like, I almost was able to see how my Mauler Fiend did in the last game that I played. I almost got to see it. I had a 4-inch charge on a Mauler Fiend into a squad of Poxwalkers. I rolled a 3. And then I re-rolled a 2. Yeah. This was all in the same game, too. Like, it was just consistent. Oh, I upgraded my dice rolling boxes. You guys have probably seen the other one. A lot of people tend to use it. It's the button together... the button together felt boxes. The small octagonal ones, but you can also pick up squares that are a little bit angled on the outside. I hate the angled square box, by the way. The angled square box always makes like at least 2 or 3 dice a roll cocked, which is miserable. So I recently bought this giant thing, which you just fold up like that, and like that, and the magnets inside hold it, and now you have a giant rolling box. Nice felt. Big enough so people can see where you're rolling, high enough walls that it doesn't feel bad when you roll it. They'll hit the wall and usually come straight back. Now I have a much larger box to roll with. That breaks down into a flat sheet and can go back in my bag. Super useful. You're probably look up how these models work in terms of gear. I feel like I'm about to make a couple models that have gear combos that you're not allowed to take with them. It isn't a big deal when you consider you're about to have 30 of them. I feel like I haven't seen too many Necromunda games with like 30 gang members versus 30 gang members. That's gotta be ridiculous. Maybe it happens. I'm unfamiliar with the system. Alright. That many rifles. I know blast rifles are usually my favorite. So we're gonna make sure to get the blast rifles in. They're my favorite because they're small. I think the last one I put together had the 3-piece long rifle, but I'm not gonna need to do that here, which is very good. Super happy about that. The whole reason I had to use it was because I didn't make the big harpoon gun that that guy has. Other blast rifles should be 30 and 31. Wait, what? So you said you were building these for actual orcs, like 40k orcs, right? I think they were toe. Or were they... I'm unfamiliar. I know Dread Mob. I didn't... oh no, I fought Dread Mob. That's right. That's who I fought that one time. I actually did really good against them with knights. The person I fought against didn't seem to understand how leadership worked, so I got screwed out of a ton of points. It was a 1-point differential between me and him, and I think I actually won that game by like a 2-point differential. You said you were Green Tide? Or was this for AOS? Trying to remember. Green Tide seems cool though. Oh, the old... okay, I get it. The old world. Okay. Do you think it would be... conceptually a good idea? Well, it probably wouldn't. to purchase a metric ton of extremely tiny magnets to then put into the bottom of like one of the feet on all of the characters, and then to put like the basing magnet in the general area you would want to attach the model at. That way you could have a bunch of different bases like this at the sizes you need with all these magnets. And then to just be like, all right, let's play regular. Boop, and then just move it over. Or would you go to like Etsy? Because I'm pretty sure on Etsy, there's the square bases that are designed as like an outer rim that you could technically, I think they designed them to fit regular bases into if the sizes are right. I'm trying to remember how they did that. Because that's the one thing, man. It's got me a little like weirded out about the old world coming back. Kind of the people who want to play it but also don't want to like be stuck in it. Kind of the beauty of this Necromunda team. I can play Necromunda with these specific units, or I can just use them as cultists because it's the same size bases. In theory, I think if I buy an Ogryn style unit, I think these might be the same size bases for the Blooded. I just don't have the right guns though, because you want a plasma gun and all that. Oh, so it would be square into the circle. I heard they had a tournament that finished out, though, for TOE, for the old world. And what, people were finding that having high-end wizards was like a good thing or something? I can't remember. I was listening to someone talk about the stats of it. It's interesting that they brought wizard levels back into the old world, and everyone was like, oh, it's cool. Wizard levels, sweet. And then they announced Age of Sigmar, the update, and wizard levels are in. Like, it's kind of weird. But they decided to do it in both spots. I like it because I do play Disciples of Tzeentch, and I am really hoping that wizard level really plays into what you can cast, when, and why. Because I hated playing in the current system where, like, kind of non-magically infused people seem to easily be able to handle my spellcasting. And that should not be the case, in my opinion. But then, now with wizard levels, if there's something cool like my army is always just generally in a better wizard level status than most, and it gives me better opportunities to cast and dispel, I think I'd like that. I do not like the Citadel glue. Tamiya, I don't often use. Okay, here's my issue with Tamiya. Tamiya makes great sprue goo, if you want to do that, in my opinion. You would cut up some sprues, toss it in here, make some sprue goo. I'm using it here because I'm trying to like get used to it. I like the idea that it's basically a solvent, right? This melts the plastic into the other plastic, and then if you let it dry, it finishes and it basically fuses it. It's great at getting rid of mold lines. If you just run it down some mold lines, it'll melt the mold line back into itself. It's perfect. Personally, Instacure. Actually, I don't think that's the company name. I think the local store covers up the company name with a sticker. BSI Inc. So I've always preferred this as the glue because it glues very instantly. It feels like it holds very strong. and it's gap filling as well. So it actually kind of fills, holds strong, and then also cures in a way where you could like go back in with a X-Acto knife or a filer and kind of get the gap to go flat if there is a gap, which is why I've really preferred Instacure. They have extra thick and just gap filling medium. So I use that more often than not. I'm using the Tamiya here because I'm trying to like it, man. I hear so many good things about it. My buddy glued like 4 of his armies together almost exclusively with Tamiya. But I've always had issues with it where near the end of using it, no matter how long I wait, the things I'm gluing together always seem to be kind of sticky. Like a little bit like maneuverable, which makes for problems. Because when parts are just like sliding off because the plastic's just melting, it makes it harder to fix because the plastic's all melted. It's weird, but to me it tends to be decent. If you can, I guess, pace it or just get the timing right on putting things on. Because since it also doesn't like instantly cure, if you make a mistake, it's usually easy to rectify. So. The trick is to just not touch it for like an hour afterwards. That way, whatever chemicals are working at the objects actually dry out, and then pull the plastic together and finish it off. But yeah, I've mostly used regular. I do hate Citadel glue. I do. It's never been my favorite. I have a bottle of it as like a just in case situation if I ever think like for some reason I would want to use it. But it's just been sitting there. I'll use Gorilla Glue for the magnets that I apply to the bases. I hear Loctite's good for that though. Doing Loctite glue instead of Gorilla. It's like Loctite gel or something. What you want to use. That's not good. I'll push it back. If this was any other glue, it would have been stuck already. But this at least gives me a little bit of time to make an adjustment. To me, it could be fine. And I feel like you don't need a lot of it. I've had this one container of Tamiya I'm using right here ever since I started building my armies. I've only used it a little bit, but even then, I feel like I've torn through like 4 or 5 bottles of this. And this is barely halfway empty. Blast rifle. No, yeah, GW plastic glue is not great. Fully agree. The music done? No. How close are we to being done music? Oh, we've got like 10 more songs. Two armies or 2 squads? I do have a mask, and I built a box with a filter in the back of it so that it'll collect the paint. If you have enough ventilation, you don't really need it. I'd suggest it though. I mean, depending on where you live, I bought an airbrush, of course, for $200. Compressor, airbrush, all of it, and then the mask was like $5, and it's a good, like, it's actually. I was surprised. Like, it's the whole ass mask, and it was like $5 or $6. It's like nothing. It's great. So why not? The box. Okay, so what you want to do is you buy a big plastic box, right? Oh, you're never gonna be able to see this. You buy a big plastic, like Tupperware-ish box, and then you buy a pretty high-grade, small, like air filter. That's it. Yeah, you don't want plastic, yeah. So definitely wear a mask. But then to prevent the paint from like going all over the wall behind wherever you're painting or something, if you just buy a really nice deep plastic box, cut a hole in the back of it that's big enough to put an air filtration like thing on the back of it, like just general, like ones you would put in air conditioning units or something. Just buy one from a local store. If it's decently high and grade, I think like 7 or 8, it'll be okay. And then you just tape it into the back. Tape it into the back, you're done. You can just put it down on the other end of where you're airbrushing, put your mask on, and then airbrush. And the filter should grab the bulk of the paint. You can even do a thing where you put like, because a lot of filters come in like 4-packs, you put a filter inside and you put a filter outside. And if you want to really push it, if you have a small box fan, you put the box fan on the other side of that. You don't have to tape it there, you just put it there and then turn it on so that it pulls air through, and there you go. It'll pull all the paint that you're spraying after it gets to the thing you're spraying. It'll then pull the paint that doesn't hit the surface into the box, into the filter, and then just pull it to the filter. My PC is right over here. So yes. Don't do it at your PC. Like, don't do that. But paint particles will drift down in the general area. It's usually the thinner that becomes the problem in the bigger area if you can't collect it all in one spot. But yeah, definitely try to control where that goes. So it's usually a good idea to get a container with some filters, possibly a box fan. And if possible, don't put your computer as close to that as possible. Mine's fairly close because I work here. My computer is like 4 feet, 5 feet behind me. But I always have my window open when I'm doing it, and I always have the box down, mask on. I'm trying to make sure it just all gets filtered in. These are built like GW sells them. Sometimes I kit bash, but not always. It just depends on what I have access to. We kit bashed a little bit with these models. Not these models, but my Vastor and my Thousand Sun models. Nothing too major though. We usually kit bash with Imperial Knights because I usually buy Armigers. Although if I buy any more Knights, I'm gonna have to buy War Dogs. I need more War Dogs to have more access to Brigands and Carnivores. last of the blast guns. Now we just need one long rifle, which we're not going to do the 3-part long rifle. We're going to do the 2-part long rifle because it actually has a really cool shoulder pad. I'm mostly aiming to just try to get these done. I think we're going to try to apply some conversion to the Venom crawlers when we get them. Venom crawlers look very Chaos Undivided-y, and we do have some more Zangor shields and markings we can use, so I'm probably going to try to apply them to the Venom crawlers. I'm also trying to think of a fun way to paint the Venom crawlers, and I think we might try to make that giant bulbous butt that they have glow. Like, we might try to make that look like it's got, like, so much power in it that it's glowing through the surface. I think that could be cool. Depending on how much you're thinking of painting, this is my 2nd bottle of cleaner. Thinner, I've done okay with because a lot of paints... Things with airbrushes you're going to find is that a lot of them have thinner pre-built into it. You might not need to thin down those paints. Sometimes it's a good idea. It depends on... A lot of this is going to depend on what you've discovered through painting your stuff you want to lean into. Don't always assume that one person's methodology is going to work for you. Airbrushing and mixing colors is a lot like baking. Depending on the air pressure where you are, depending on the humidity, depending on so many things, it's going to be different based on your location than what someone will tell you to do. You do want to try to get the paint to be like skim milk, but I don't have it out here with me, do I? I use a lot of Vallejo air paint, and Vallejo air paint is basically the right like consistency. I also use Golden High Flow. Golden High Flow is basically always the right consistency. It's pre-thinned. I don't need to purchase any thinner with it. You only really need thinner if the paint you're using is like straight up like, oh, I want to apply Word Bearer's Red from Citadel into my airbrush. This is too thick. You will need thinner. It's the same thing with like non-high flow paints. Anytime you have a pigment that's too thick, you need thinner. But there's so many types of paints out there that are meant for airbrush that are pre-thinned. As well, when I do OSL tricks, Liquitex white ink. Literally the inks that I own are all perfectly designed to work in an airbrush without really much need for anything else. But cleaner, definitely. If you're planning on painting a ton of stuff, I would go with the large bottle of cleaner. You don't need the big bottles of thinner and flow improver necessarily. It just depends on the types of paints you're going to get your hands on. If you're working with a lot of pigment paint, like just straight up thick pigment, layer paint, not really designed to go through an airbrush, then yeah, you're going to probably want like a big container of thinner and flow improver. Maybe even a side container to mix it up in, because I know a lot of people talk about 2 parts thinner, 1 part flow improver. You might need to settle on your own concoction, right? Something you think is what's perfectly needed to get your stuff to work. Hard to position. this body not meant for the sniper rifle? Should be. Anybody should be able to take the sniper rifle. And they literally show every single body next to pick your weapon. I'm just gonna have the Tamiya work on that. I'm not gonna worry about it. Trimming. Long rifle. All right. Another 10 cultists. What? To reduce overspray, you need to polish them? What? This is a $20 airbrush I've been using for 2 years now. I've not needed to do that. What do you mean polish? I usually just run a little air cleaner that I spray into it from here, through it twice after every color use. The Iwata cleaner has built-in lubricant in it as well, so it helps keep the parts moving, which is nice. But overspray, I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that. The main thing I don't like is that my cheap airbrush, like, no matter how hard I clean it, the inside is just consistently kind of changing colors. Oh, polish the needle. Okay, so you'll notice that my airbrush sits like this. That means the needle's not in it. It's so every time I get ready to airbrush anything, I always, just before, I take the needle and I take a little cleaner and I just go over the needle with it. Front to back, don't go, or back to front, don't go front to back, because then if you go front to back and hit the tip too hard, you might bend the tip. That's a problem. But I take a little bit of cleaner and I apply it to it because, again, cleaner has a little bit of lubricant in it, specifically the Iwata, or I guess media ones now. So you clean it, I put it in the actual airbrush itself, place it in, screw the little nut on here to secure it, and then I usually put a little bit of cleaner in here, and then I tilt back and I do this to try to pull the cleaner into the gasket area here to lubricate the gasket part, and then I spray it out. And that's how I usually start every airbrush session, is mostly just trying to get the needle cleaned up a little bit and then get the action, the actual pulling action, to feel smooth, and then we're good. It doesn't take a lot of time. We got a little bit of time here. It's only 2:27. Let's start organizing this. These were 3D printed parts I ordered for my knights because Games Workshop is not kind enough to give you the parts you need. For instance, armigers do not have Havoc launchers. So, Havoc launchers. For all of the armigers that I own. Because I want to run them as brigands and carnivores. And carnivores get Havoc launchers, and honestly, one of the only things that knights have access to that make them even potentially viable as an army is things on their backs with 48-inch indirect. I don't know about polishing the overall needle. But I mean, if you think you can do it, fine. But again, be wary that it is a very thin piece of metal. So be worried about that. Don't just like spray willy-nilly and hope. But yeah, so we're just gonna start working on this, cleaning things up a little bit. make sure the parts that matter to me. Which, again, I do really like how 3D printing's going. Because a lot of this is just really smooth and probably doesn't need too much work. Honestly, any of the little imperfections just factor into it looking like just a war-torn piece of metal. It's fine. Gotta crack some of the flakiness of it off. Which gives me hope, right? Because like I said, War Machine's moving over to using 3D printer people more than anything else. And historically, 3D printers, not great from what I remember from back in the day. But having interacted more and more with 3D print groups and people who are willing to send you 3D printed goods like this, which this looks a little shiny. I don't know if I like that. I feel like the quality has gone way up. Just like drastically up. I don't know if I like that. Some of it looks a little wet, which means I might want to put some gloves on. I'm gonna go wash my hands real quick. I feel like this guy, it's probably just residual from like a bath that he hit it with chemically. But I do not know that for certain. No, yeah. And since I said War Machine's moving over to the 3D print side, I think they might be okay, especially with some of the models they've been showing off. Some of those models I've seen are impressive. Like, conceptually, the 3D elements of showing them off. I think Glass Half Dead was gluing together some of their elves, like the elvish side of their army. And those looked crazy, the amount of detail and like shapes and all the cool stuff with very, very tight edges. Like one of them was using like one of those like rounded boomerang-y weapons, and the edges were like beautifully tapered. It was just great to see that from like 3D printed models. It's really cool. So we kind of want to match up all the different components to kind of what they need to be. The magnets are pretty much going in here. Do the double giant battle cannons have the flamers or no? I think I wanted to go with whatever had the dual flamers, because the dual dark flames sounded horrifying. Meanwhile, the other one's just like a stubber. Kind of the least scary thing on a knight. Might have been the 18-shot cannons. Supposedly this person's kind of running behind. in like their schedules and prints and everything. They were getting their kid to help them, which is why the first batch of this stuff that I ordered was missing like all the missile racks and only half the gun parts were in it. It was because their kid just didn't want to be there. Like he was just doing dumb stuff. Chaos Knight battle cannon. Oh no, I want to see it. Don't do this to me. Oh, I still haven't gotten those heads yet. Oh, June 21st. This person already put in that it's going to take forever to get here. Okay. Alright, so the battle cannon is the Gatling cannon specifically. I don't know what the back on it looks like. Okay. So the D6 plus 3 with rapid fire from 36 inches has the stubber. The Gatling has the flamer. Oh, man. That kind of sucks. Because I was thinking of doing battle cannon. But stubber kind of sucks. But yeah, it sounded like he was having a hard time keeping up with the orders because he's the only one on Etsy that I found that does this, and it's perfect. It's parts for knights that they only give you one in a box, right? Let's say you want to do dual of the Questoris or Despoiler class Meltaguns, because that's scary, honestly. Think about that. 2 of those, like one on each side of the knight. That's horrifying sounding. I love it. So he does that. You can just buy them. And he has like the perfectly shaped arm for it. Like it works. He has everything that you need for it. And I couldn't find anyone else doing this online. So I got the perfect size Havoc launchers for the backs. And then we're getting these fun Gatling cannons, which I'm going to glue solid. I know I could leave them loose so that they could spin, but I think I'm just going to glue them solid. But yeah, I was like, hey man, I don't think I have my Havoc launchers. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. I have help, and he's a little young. And I was like, oh no. So I'm pretty sure he's getting inundated as one of the only people that sells the parts that you need to upgrade knights without having to buy whole other boxes of knights. Because if you want executioners, you need to buy armigers. But war dogs were also very hard to get in the US for a very long time. I think they still are, honestly. I think they're still very hard to get in. So the fact that he sells the upgrade components that basically can allow armigers to work like war dogs. I think he also sells components that allow you to chaosify the outside of regular knights, which is good. Again, if you consider like the amount of work I had to put into my Cerastus, because there just isn't a chaos version of it that doesn't look clean. Because it's technically a Horus Heresy knight, so the Cerastus just resembles Horus Heresy, which is very clean. No, this is 3D printed, and it was shiny, so I was a little worried that maybe some areas of it was probably still like uncured resin, but we're pretty sure it's the cleaning solution, just not being clean enough. So But, you know, don't want to risk it. Because, like, you can see some shiny parts on this. I wanted to paint this week, but because of the orders that are coming in this week, like we have Vashtor most likely coming in at the end of the week. We have another box of Cultists probably coming in Tuesday or Wednesday. We have the Venom Crawlers probably coming in near the end of this week or early next week. And probably a Rhino midweek as well. We have too much to do in terms of building and preparation to paint. So most likely painting's not going to happen until next week, which sucks. But it is what it is. I do need to get some recording done this week as well, since I do have a video idea that is in place and recorded audio-wise for the How to Kill Team series. I'm finally going to go into methods of thinking when you're trying to put your team together to go onto the board. Because there were people who were very mad at my list building video for not being that. They were genuinely angered by this, and yeah, I'm gonna try to sort that out and actually get the videos they want out. The problem was it's hard for me to articulate how to choose squads and how to choose specialists, because I feel like a lot of people just want me to be like, all right, if you play Corsairs, this is your team. Don't worry about anyone else. If you play Legionary, this is your team. Don't worry. No, it's the worst way to play. You go into Horde with a Corsair squad designed to kill elites, you're going to lose. Just flat out, you're going to lose. What kind of glue do we use here? Does Tamiya work here or no? I guess, do we have to use we'll probably just use my curing glue, my regular cure glue. So I got the pictures pulled up. The Gatling one definitely has, I want to say, the double-sided super clip. What does the back of the Gatling one look like? I think the back of the Gatling gun has that like manhole cover. Because here we go, check this out. We are gonna glue this in. I like that it spins. Don't use plastic glue. This is just general glue. Gap filling. What are you? Ceramics, plastics, hardwoods. This is kind of a super glue. Pretty sure this would work. Something up. Yeah, but this also does hardwood and ceramics. We're going to attempt. We're going to make an attempt. I'm not going to use Tamiya because Tamiya is definitely plastic cement. It's meant to melt more than anything else. And this glue fucks up my hands. Okay, we need to take the gloves off for it. Because it got on my gloves, and now my gloves are coming off on the resin. Yeah, that's not moving now. It is 100% solid. We need to slow the flow rate down, though, because I did cut this neck off because it kept drying in the neck. Get a little there. A little there. Stop it. No, let go. Fit. Do it. Okay, there. Maybe. It is peculiar that this is designed to be larger than this bottom component here. There we go. All right, so this side I'm pretty sure is meant for the big battle cannon, along with this one that doesn't really have anything under it. So those are battle cannon. Yes, good. Good, 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 good. I don't really like that these don't, like, clip in. What was the battle cannon front? Battle cannon front is the multi-prong, which would be this, I think? No, triple. Yeah, okay, good. So it's this. How do we... I think we'll start by gluing... front part on. For the other side, get some glue going. We're going to want to glue the shoulder in as well. Let me just put a little glue on this outer rim here. Should be this way, I want to say. Followed abruptly by... Oh, this was not the best way to do this. Yeah. We might honestly glue this component to be a little bit more flat. Not gonna lie, this feels a lot heavier than I expected. This is way heavier. Flamer component, because that's what the Gatling gun gets. I'll have to kind of line it up, make it look good. Oh, dude, this is so heavy. Oh my god, I did not expect this to be this heavy. I'm pretty sure the magnet will hold, but we do want to glue this component up here. Which is weird, because this is smaller. God, it's starting to open up. This is where the gap filling comes into play. Because yeah, like this probably the first major downside, I'd say, that this is how this sits. Also, I have no idea how to glue those other components in. Oh, I see it. Why did they think that would work? Weird. I guess they want me to like clip off the front component and then just glue it this way. Dude, this is so heavy. Like, why? All right, we'll figure that out in a second. Gap filler's hopefully doing its thing. Or maybe not. All right, so round 2, I think what we focus on, actually just getting this together the way it should be. I'm gonna most likely feed this component with a glue at a later time. Now this is mostly just about lining it up, flattening it, putting it together. But yeah, things this design definitely needs is stuff that explicitly like snaps together, but I don't know how machine perfect you can be in this situation. So maybe the leeway of it being a little open like this might be for the best, I don't know. There's a bird going ham outside. Holy crap. Bird wants everyone to know he's having a good day. You could leave them free floating to spin, but like I said, I think I want them to be pretty solid, actually. Like just be completely piped in and done. Because when I paint them, I don't really want to have to like think about painting every aspect of this component. Speaking of which, there is no connecting point on this one? Okay then. Guess we'll just pick one of these things to glue it on top of. Let's go a bit like that. Oh, I know what that is. Ah! Genuinely, I thought that was like super bright blood, but it's actually just the magenta. I was like, oh god, what did I do? The dual Gatling guns plus flamers. And then to finish it up, dual battle cannons. The issue here is that the battle cannon part, I think, is on the same side. There's really not much you can do to change it, is there? I don't think there was a way for me to choose like right or left. So the battle cannon component was always going to be the same because you cannot shift it. Select an option. Joint. Yep. It was always going to be this way. A little sad, but I think that's kind of how they work anyway. One's a little rougher. This is where we use the gap closer. Where does this go? Pretty sure this way. But how? Oh, I guess once it goes on this way, you kind of have to pick maybe the side the stubber comes out. I don't know, they always come out this way. Stubber. Gap filler. Battle cannon faces down. I might have to get some green stuff together for this. Maybe. Figure that out before we prime it. Battle cannon 1. Gap filler. So good. What's cool is with the Havoc launchers, the main thing we're probably going to be doing here, depending on timing, don't think we'll be doing it today, is we're going to be reassessing at some point every single one of my war dogs. Because this little nub here that everyone's like, oh, that's how you handle that. I hate it. I hate it so much. My least favorite thing. Our music just ended. Swap over. It is 3 o'clock. I'm going to have to start getting ready to head out. But I hate this nub. And I feel like everyone hates the nub. So I have these extremely tiny magnets, which we are going to replace that nub with using some super glue. And on all the Havoc launchers we already have built, we're going to do the same thing, as well as all the Meltas and Stubbers. And then we're going to put the tiny magnets into every single one of my Armigers and War Dogs. That way these actually snap to the tops and hold, because this rarely actually holds. I do kind of want to see something though. Because we do need to do a little bit more to finish this out, I feel like. In particular, we're going to be putting some glue in this, as well as applying this component, which in the images looks like this little nub there is supposed to go in here, but since there's something already there, I think they want us to just cut it off and glue it. My big question, let me go grab, after washing my hands again, frickin' 3D printers, baby. 3D printers. My hands feel like they're covered in powder. We need to grab a test night. And the only test night I have is in here. They got rid of my desk that I was using. What sucks is what we're doing here actually replaces my desecrator. It's kind of an issue I have that will most likely lead me to making a bad choice in the next coming couple months involving purchasing another Questoris. Because I'm an idiot. Actually, we'd probably purchase another Abominant if we're being real, because the Abominant comes with the desecrator components and pre-existing chaos armaments and stuff. Because I feel like one day my goal is going to be a Tyrant, a Desecrator, and a Questoris, or a Despoiler. I feel like that's like the end game, whenever their actual codex drops. That's the reverse, that's the pull. It's perfectly in. This is where we use the super glue. So yeah, I think what we do, we glue this kind of up and down. And then we glue the support trusses across. It kind of makes the arms ready. I'm just gonna grab 3 more. All right. Was hoping to paint this week, but because of the things I've ordered, because of Vashtor not being here, because of like all the stuff kind of stacking up and being obnoxious, we're gonna have so much building to do for the next couple weeks, man. I should have my 3rd squad of cultists and my 2nd rhino here Tuesday or Wednesday, which means Thursday we'll probably be building those. We'll probably clean up and finish these knight components as well. We have, of course, like I said, the Armigers and War Dog project that's going to involve me having to like remagnetize all of that. So much to do. So much to do. But yeah, the big hope here. The gap closing stuff is slowly curing in, but my main thing is, yep, there you go. As long as we can actually solidify the cannons. Like this joint here, will be good. And they look good. And they'll be fun to paint. I hope. Pretty simple, mostly. I already ordered 2 things of the airbrush gold that we've been using on like everything, so we'll be able to focus on that a little bit. Gatlings and flamers, regular battle cannons, stubbers. I might lean into the Gatlings because I do think we're going to have enough damage on just the Tyrant in the list as well as all the little guys. Oh yeah, the sprues and everything. That's always obnoxious. I already have a stack appearing
I always make the call, though. If I got to look at it and assume whether or not I'm actually going to use anything. Oh, speaking of which, we'll have to do it before we paint it. The Rhino that I already have, I think I want to take the spikes off the front of it and then just do maybe some spikes on the top. Because I don't like making the Rhino longer than it needs to be, honestly. We'll probably just avoid that. Sweet. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully I can get this video recorded and out by next week for the How to Kill Team stuff. I gotta listen to it tonight and write the list of B-roll that I'm gonna have to record here. There's a chance we don't stream on Thursday. Chance. Because if it comes down to me having to record B-roll or streaming, I think I'm gonna give B-roll the priority. So I'm gonna take my dice box home. I'm gonna get all this new dice into a new bag. And I kind of want to, you know, go home and test it out. Feel how it rolls. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling. Thanks for talking. Until next time, guys.